Hello, Chesterton students. It's Miss Shannon in your gardens. This is week 5, but video 4 in your gardens. We have some people excited about the football game today. It's Sunday, so you're gonna hear some background noise throughout this video, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and take a look at what's happened in your gardens in 1 week, and then we're gonna talk about what I call the moving parts of the garden. That has to do with your garden jobs. So let's take a look. In bed 1, we have even more growth in 1 week, and I'm still slightly suspicious about what's coming up here because I don't think it's everything that I planted. I still think it's some holdover cucamelon. But what I am excited about, here is a sugar snow pea seedling coming up right there. So he's gonna try to, or she is gonna try to push on through and bypass all of the other stuff that's growing, so that's good. What's happening in bed number 2? Not a whole lot, but if you remember, we planted some wildflowers in here to try to attract some pollinators to your garden. And wildflowers have a tendency to have a slower germination rate, so they're not necessarily going to come up as quickly as some of the other things we planted. Okay, bed 3. We have some some fauna activity. Uh-oh, they're digging up some things. But I do see some things popping up here. There's some seedlings coming up. So hopefully we'll have some herbs growing in this bed and your strawberry transplants. Moving along. We'll see what's happening in the beds I cleared last week and seeded. Again, there's some more fauna activity happening here. And we have a few things coming up, but I'm still unsure if these are cucamelon seedlings again. So we'll see what happens. And this milkweed is still hanging on, that's good. But the milkweeds I tried to save did not survive. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull those out and we'll have a chance to plant some more milkweed seeds coming up here soon. Okay, some more animal activity, and nothing's coming up in this bed yet. Again, it's only been 7 days. Sometimes things take a little bit longer. All right, so today I think I'm gonna try to tackle these 2 beds. Pull all this stuff out. I wonder how long that will take me. Take everything you see here to the green waste and everything that comes out of the beds and get those beds amended, get fresh compost put in there, and get everything seeded. Okay, so let's have a talk about the moving parts of your garden space. Now, what I mean about moving parts is what does it require to maintain a garden, especially your garden at your school? Now, I'm sure you've talked about garden jobs or responsibilities before, and technically there's 4 jobs. I like to add in a 5th job, just because you'll see why it's important. And the first job, let's see what that is. Planting. Now that's an important job, right? We wouldn't have things growing in your garden without someone doing the planting. Now that requires adding the seeds at the correct depth and distance apart from one another. Also transplanting or moving plants around in your garden space, as well as adding seedlings or starts, and those are more mature seeds that have been growing for a while. Gives us a better chance of harvesting something a lot sooner. I just gave you a hint at the next garden job. Harvesting. Now I think everyone enjoys harvesting from their gardens. Now we don't have anything to harvest right now from the Chesterton gardens, but let me show you an example of what we can harvest from here, maybe this time next year. So this basket of goodness came out of the Hawthorne Elementary Gardens just this morning. So here are some great examples of, we have some tomatoes, some lettuce, carrots, different varieties of kale, as well as eggplant. We have some lettuce here, and arugula is popping through there. Some radishes and beets, as well as some cilantro. What do you think of this? This looks like a delicious harvest, doesn't it? So we still have 2 more jobs, and actually a 3rd job, that aren't as glamorous as planting and harvesting, but they are still critically important to the health of your gardens. So what are they? Weeding, removing those unwanted plants from your garden space, because if we don't, they are competing for the nutrients, the water, and sometimes even the sunlight that your plants need to survive. So weeding, very important job. Composting, you know that garden job is near and dear to my heart. I love healthy soils. And we have healthy soil in our raised garden beds when we have compost added to our beds. So extremely important job. Don't forget about composting. So I added that 5th job of watering to our responsibilities. And that's because there are some plants and even some seeds that need some targeted watering. So they need some extra special watering that isn't necessarily coming straight from our irrigation tubes, our irrigation drip lines. And that's the way that these gardens are watered. But I have to tell you, you know who is the best person for targeted watering? Your principal. She's been amazing coming out here a few days a week to make sure that the seeds that were planted a few weeks ago and even last week are still getting the water that they need. So huge shout out to your principal. She's been awesome. I'm keeping her on this garden team for life. Do you remember all 5 garden jobs? All right, it's time to grab those science journals. List all 5 garden jobs and then circle the one you think you would be best at. And finally, create your own dream team of garden job people. That could be a parent, a sibling, maybe a classmate or a teacher. I know I'm keeping your principal on the watering job list. See you next time.